Hello and welcome back. We are on day 10 of our watercolor series, the 12 days of comfort and color. And because it's comfort and color, we have a cozy to-do list. So grab a candle and we'll light our candle. So that's our first thing. Our second thing is to have something lovely to drink. I say to have something warm, but sometimes I just need some Diet Dr. Pepper, and that's where I'm at right now. This is a new addiction. This is not normal for me, but I have 2 kids in college, one of them addicted. So I'm like, I'll try that, and here we are. Third thing is a blanket, and I am cold, so I'm looking forward to this. Get nice and cozy. I also have some candy canes. I would eat candy canes while I painted if I could do that and talk. I can't, but you can. So, and here's what we're going to paint today. Now I'm going to show you. Okay, this is where we got plaid, but this isn't a stocking. That's just the most recent thing I did. Here we go, a more simple version of plaid. And here's where it all started. This little teeny tiny one, which was a little sketch I did on Procreate. So we're going to do some combination of those things and learn a little bit about plaid today. I'm not an expert, but we're going to have fun with it. So make sure that you are comfy and cozy, and let's get started. Did you realize yet that I didn't do a list of watercolor supplies? Because I just realized that, and we'll go through them real quick. So watercolor paints, and then I have some water in a jar and a towel. Keep your water kind of low like this. Then I have a pencil and a kneaded eraser. I have got a size 10 round watercolor brush, and I've got an ultra fine point Sharpie to do some line work at the end. I am using 6" by 9" cold press watercolor paper. This one's Canson. And then we all have a template from our Day 0 printable. So if you want to grab that, you can. If not, you don't need it. I've got a little spray bottle full of water, and this is a craft heat gun. And I think that's all the supplies that we're going to need. If I forgot anything, I'll tell you about it in a minute. And now let's get started. So let's start by observing for a moment today. Look how wonky the tiny one is. I love it. Okay, so on this one, we'll just notice one thing is that I did do like black lines on either side of everything. So that's an option for you today. On the practice ones here, I did not outline things within. You can just see the pencil. Okay, and then on this one, I just decided we can get a little bit more complex with our design, and I think we'll do that today. If you want to keep it more simple today, you'll just do less. So you'll just do like, maybe we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4 different colors. Maybe you're going to do 2, or you're going to do 3 instead, and you're just going to keep it more simple. What we're going to be doing here is, if you start to look at it here, I'm going to turn it this way for you. And you look, we have a line of this very light yellowish green color, a line of blue, some space, and these are fat line of pink, skinny line of red, space. And I did not even repeat it perfectly, if you'll notice. Let's see, because there's an extra space right here that you don't see again later. But honestly, look, I like it. So let's not be like worried about things like that today. Just keep moving, even if something like that happens. And then, so we go green, blue, let's just pretend it goes green, blue, pink, red, okay? Then the same thing here, we're gonna go, let's see, green, blue, pink, space, red. And so we did the same thing and just repeated it in both directions. And because watercolor is transparent or translucent, I've heard it both ways, which is why I just always say both. You can't tell me I'm wrong if I beat you to it. You know what I mean? Anyways, okay, so that's what we're doing, is we're overlapping. And because it's translucent, transparent, you can see right through it. And so that's what gives you these other separate blocks of color. And it's just kind of cool. So watercolor is a good medium for that, I think. And so let's go ahead and get started with our stocking shape, and then we'll kind of go from there. Oh, also look, a bell, a really, really simple bell, but I'm digging it, right? Okay. So we're going to put our little template here. Our stocking is facing that direction today, so I'm going to stick it on here. I can't do it like this because this is square paper and this is rectangle, so we'll still take it down towards the bottom and tip it towards the left, which will give us that extra space here. And I also think we'll take it tall today because that kind of moves the top up and gives us more space here as well. Make sense? Perfect. Uh-oh, I'm a little sassy today, guys. So let's start tracing. Light on your pencil. My kids are going to be like home from school. And I try to beat them, but I don't think I'm gonna today. Okay, I moved the whole thing up. So remember, just like we've done in a couple of the other days, to make it tall and skinny, we'll just take this part up and then we'll trace the top. Look at this, that's not right, but that's okay. We'll get the top on here, and then I'm gonna bring this down real lightly because I know I may need to move some things because I'm shifting it, you know. Okay. Lighten that up. So I'm going to connect where it needs to connect. Same thing over here. And then this is where I went kind of over the edge, so I'll clean that up a little bit with my kneaded eraser. If you haven't gotten a kneaded eraser yet, I'm surprised. I really do kind of brag about how cool they are a lot, don't you think? Oh, you know what? Look, we're not keeping this either, so back at it. We can even connect these first and then erase it. So we're just taking from this side, we're coming up. We're going to get rid of that little dip. So we're going to come and connect it right to this part here. So it might take you a couple tries. That's why we're pressing light on our pencil. No big deal. Okay. Great. I like it. Okay, on this one, look, it's like a tiny string. And for some reason, I kind of want to leave it little and tiny like that. So if you want to change it, go for it. Otherwise, it's not even overlapping. It's coming over here, which helps get the bell in place. Let's actually do the bell first. Look at that. If it was like this. So we're going to shift it a little bit because this thing is vertical. So the bell is tipped. But this one's tipped. So why don't you just somewhere around here. This is a nice tall rainbow. This is a different shape. I'll see if I like it or not. Press lightly. I think that's honestly pretty good. Here's how I'm gonna know. I'm gonna start it here. So I'm gonna start here and kind of jump up and off, and I'm gonna find the center. Okay, you can put a little mark here. Here we go. Great. So here we go. I like it. And here, let's put the little bell part of the bell, the ringer part, the circle, is going to go here, and really it would overlap. So if you just draw the whole thing, you'll get a nice circle. And then let's get in there and erase what we don't need. So in that case, for me, I'm going to change this corner slightly as well. So I pinched my kneaded eraser so I could get in there better. Good. And then I'll clean up this line too, because I don't want to really see this later. So make sure you erase that real well. And we are off to a good start. And now we're going to start getting in there with our lines. So on the previous ones where we've had lines, and I think it's been a couple so far, we're really kind of finding a line that goes straight down the center to sort of begin with, because we're kind of splitting the difference. So I'm going to turn my paper this way, and kind of like right here, I'm going to try to put a line. So if you want to, this might be a good time to get out a ruler or an extra piece of paper if you want to. If not, just wing it. I'm trying to find center here. Here, I'm going to do it like this. I'm going to find center by putting a dot. Maybe the same thing here. Okay, and now I'm going to use this to connect them. So I'll put my pencil right up here. Actually, I'll do it right here, and push this right up to your pencil. And the same thing on the bottom. Now I'll do really gentle, really lightly, a line right here. And that's all that we really need this for, because that's going to give us a pretty nice beginning, you know. Now, I didn't really think that start through with this, but I like that basically that ends up being this line. Okay, so on the left of it, we would have this. So it's like wide, 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 skinny. Let's do it like this. Watch. This is how I started it. If I do one line, I'll make it pretty wide like this, and do another, same distance apart if I do another. What I'm going to end up doing is splitting this one in half, and I'll do one color on the top, another color here, and so that's giving me really nice space to work within. And then there's one that's nice and tight. This is the dark red line, okay? And then I'll be able to come back and fill in this space next. Does that make sense? I think it will in a minute, if not. But what you need to know is we want a fat one, and then equal space down we want a skinny, another one, and that one will be for the skinny. I'm going to just show that to you in case you're just like, Audrey, come on, I don't understand it. Here's my fat line here, okay? And that's the one I'll divide into two. And right here, look, equal distance. Well, not perfectly, but kind of. And that one's going to be the red. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3. So currently, let's see. This is the bottom of the second one. So as we got those 3 lines, stick with me, we're getting somewhere. This is the weird part, okay? We're going to make them equal distant. 1, 2, 3. This is going to be your green, okay, your blue, space, and your red. Does this make any sense? I hope it does. One thing I do want to do though is I want to widen that up just a little, because as I look at it now I can start to make sense of where I'm going, and I want my red and my blue to be thicker. So now you're going to use this line that you already stuck on there as your guide. So I'm kind of looking at this one while I lightly sketch this one. And if it gets wonky, you just get out your eraser, no big deal. We're going to also look at this line again while we sketch this one. It felt more comfortable to me to start here, and so that's what I did. See, you can do this any way you want. Looking at this line above. This won't be perfect, but we'll get it pretty good. Let's erase some things we don't need, if you've got any. Okay, so this, I'm just showing you right here, is green, blue, skip a space, red. That's the way we're going. You don't need that. And I would say don't do it, because you'll stick with me and we'll get there, and then you won't accidentally have a little G underneath of your green paint that you can't erase later. So then this gets us to the red. Let's look where that is. And we'll skip a little space, and we're going to do the whole thing again. So now let's skip a little space here, like this. Let's make this one kind of skinnier, and let's just widen it out. If you hate this, you can do stripes up vertical, stripes horizontal, and then overlap them the other direction after you fully dry your first layer. And then you can be like, forget it, Audrey, I'm not with you today, and that's okay, I can handle it. This is a space. So let's put this size space right here too, because this is our pattern. So right here is a space. And remember, it's a little smaller, so it's about this width. So I'm going to make this line complete. The beginning of a drawing is the weirdest always. And then you start to have lines to build upon, and it all starts to come together. But if you quit right here, you just never get past it, which makes sense. But okay, so this was my recurring pattern right here. And you can put lines here because you can erase them later. Just don't press hard, okay? This is my space, So I'm back to my recurring pattern. Look how far apart these are. Maybe to here. And I'm going to start it again. This was blue and green, or whichever, and then red. So this would be blue and green, blue, green, and they're both going to be within this wide line. I feel like I'm very confusing right now, and then somehow you guys always surprise me and you get there, so I hope that's the case today. I think this is maybe helpful right here. Okay, blue, green, and this would be a space, and we're not getting to the red again. Okay, so this was our space, which means this line is actually red. So you can put an R there if it's helpful. And then we will do these 2 fat lines again. So I'm going to come looking at how deep this one is, or how tall. It's here again. It'll be here again. I'll make it even bigger. And now I'm looking at this as my guide. It's hard to get this one exactly how I want it, but I think we're getting pretty good. Now this is blue and green, or green and blue, I can't remember. So we're just finding some kind of pattern and repeating it. If you're banging your head against a wall right now, I'm sorry and I love you, okay? We will get there, but it's tricky. So there's the one, and we need one more. So this is like, this is the fat one, this is the fat one, little space, fat one more fat one. Now that is the end. Oh, I had the blue and the green at the wrong spot right here. Some of you already knew that. You guys are good. Dun, da, da. Red. Here's a whole space, and now here's my green and my blue. In whichever order they end up being. And there's a space above that. And I think this is the red, but we'll find out when we get there. It'll start to come together. Now you can draw the whole thing going horizontally, or you can just do it with your brush. I'll show you that when I did this, I drew it horizontally, and you can see pencil lines horizontally, but vertically I didn't. I just went in with my brush later and copied the pattern I saw below. So you can do it either way. If you want precision, honestly though, you know what? You can draw it later. Let's draw it later. This is going to be us beginning. So first we're going to get our paints ready. So if you've got this one layer, you're good to go. Scooch that out of the way. Grab your palette. It might be feeling weird. It might not be feeling weird, except that I keep saying it's weird. That's an option too. Okay. Let's grab some colors. What I like that I did here is this is a nice limey green. So that's green plus yellow. I'm going to take it from this one on top. And when I did it, I actually think I had a little bit of this tan color in it, which was fine with me, and I left it, you know, because work from a dirty palette, you can come up with cool stuff. Okay, so that's my green, and I'm going to come up with a blue next. So I'm going to clean my brush out. And up here, I had remnants of green, and I went into this navy blue and grabbed some. So the second one down from the top center, or if you don't have this palette, it might be blue plus a little bit of black, or blue plus green. And honestly, play and come up with something that you like. But we do want a decent sized puddle, and we may end up refreshing this later. It'll just depend on how much you use. Okay. I've got 2 colors to start with. We need 4. So I'm going to do pink. So I've got a light one. I just grabbed water on my brush and pulled in some of that red. And then because we get pink by adding water to any red or pink color, you know, we make it lighter. I just took from what was on my palette, and now I've got a puddle. Okay, I'm going to clean my brush out, and I'm going to go in and get some red. I actually touched my brush to my towel before this so that I started with a little bit less water, because I know my red line is going to be skinny. So I'm picking a color of red that I like. And if you pick one and you don't like it, feel free to shift it a little and pick something else. And this feels pretty good. It still needs to be a puddle, because as we say, puddles should be puddly. And, but this one can have less water in it, because we will want more control when we get to that skinny line. The more water, the less control, and the less water, the more control. That's our little watercolor rule. All right, hold on. My blanket fell off my lap, and I don't want to be cold. All right, take a breath. I'm making you work hard today. Good stretch if you need it. Just me? Okay. So as we look at this one, you can see we just have a vertical pattern and a horizontal pattern, and they're basically the same thing. Great. We pick one color and we turn the bell into that. I say let's pick this later based on which color you want to see more of when you finish your design. But I'm going to bring this one in because it is a little bit more of a detailed pattern. And I am going to totally follow the colors that I have on this reference, and you can take a screenshot of this if that's helpful. But I'm going to keep it there so it's easier to follow me. And we are going to start with the blue. I'm going to turn mine this way. So I better turn this one this way too, huh? I'll turn it this way so we get some fat stripes to start with. So we're taking everything horizontal and changing things up on you today. And the first thing I'm gonna do, so I've got this fat space here. Now you could just put a pencil line in the middle. Guys, should we just do it? Grab your pencil. No, let's not, because I think this design is gonna get really complicated. That's why we won't. Okay. Right, taking my blue and taking my brush. Now this is a good lesson in brush control, because using a paintbrush is about pressure. The harder you push into it or lean into it, the wider the tip of your brush will be. I want to try to press into it just enough that I can fill half of this section. I'm taking the tip of my brush and running it along the top, but see, I'm only trying to fill in about half of this. Now I'm going to refresh my paint and keep going. The tip of my brush is running right along my pencil line, okay? This is imperfect and we don't care. If you want it perfect, do it this time. Go back again later with a ruler, okay? And then do the whole thing over again. Okay, I've got it here. Where else is my blue and green? I can use my little map if I need to, but I know right here, I got blue, green, and a big space, then pink. Then I've got blue and green. So blue, green, space, pink, blue, green. So it's all the way down here for me. You see where it is for you, and don't worry about it, because whatever you do, you can just repeat. You got a bunch of straight lines, so it doesn't matter what you do here. But I'm gonna get in here and I'm gonna do the same thing, running the tip of my brush along that line, refreshing my puddle because I notice I need a little bit more in there. I'm going to keep it moving. Tip of your brush along that pencil line. That will keep it nice and clean for you. When I get to the corner, I'll pull it into that edge. Pretty much that's good to go. Okay, and this is a fun way to try brush pressure if you're asking me. You're not, but I'm telling you anyway, okay? I just refreshed my puddle. Hopefully it's the same color or at least close enough. Okay, so I think I've got all the way down here. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So it's this one here. The top of this is my blue. So I've been noticing this isn't halfway down, so I can start by filling this in, and that's okay. Get real light on the tip of your brush to make this part kind of clean, you know, and you really want to get down in there as much as you can. Perfect. Refreshed my paint on my brush, and now remember, you're only filling in the top half, okay? Zoom in a little for you. So I'll come around this corner with the tip of my brush, and then going this way, leaning into the belly of your brush so that the pressure would give you half of that line. Something like that is great, and now you've finished one color. Oh my gosh, are you starting to see it? Okay, we're getting somewhere, right? We are. I'll say right for you. Now, I don't want us to have to go to the dryer just yet. If you notice puddling or pooling, you can clean and dry your brush. Just touch your brush to it real quick, lift up any excess, and then we'll try to let that dry while we work on our pink. We're not going to do the green just yet because it's touching the blue and we don't want our colors to bleed. So I'm going to clean out my brush, and I'm going to grab the first maybe half or third of my brush or half of my brush. I'll get that full of pink paint. I'm going to look at my map here. I've got blue, green, space, pink. Blue, green, space, pink. And now you can decide, does the pink go all the way to the blue or not? I'm going to try to leave a little white space between it because I think it'll just give us like one more row. So I'm leaning into my brush, and if I can lean into it the same width all along, I'm going to get this really lovely row. And I'm going to try to leave that white stripe. Ooh, I kind of dug into the white space a little. Okay, I'm going to show you how I try to clean that up. Cleaned out my brush real good, dried it real good on my towel, and I'm going to go over here and just try to lift it. That's called lifting. I cleaned my brush out, I dried it on my towel, and right here I'm just basically trying to dry the paper. You know, get rid of the paint, dry the paper. And it worked pretty well, but sometimes you'll just have to do it a bunch of times in a row. dry your brush, grab it again. It's like cleaning up a stain, you know? And now I'll go back to my pink. Once again, I'm controlling my water, so I've got maybe the first third of my brush in my puddle, and that's it. Okay, so we had blue, space, space, pink. Now blue, space, space, pink. And once again, I'm going to try to leave a little bit of a white line under it. I'm noticing they're not perfect, but like we did not measure them. So of course they're not perfect, but it's going to be lovely. I don't think people look at plaid and pull out measuring tape. You know what I mean? We don't get the ruler out unless it's really, really wonky. And then maybe we would. Nope, I still wouldn't. All right, I'm a little annoyed at this because it's not perfectly straight. I'm going to try to straighten it up and then stop, because the more I go over it, the more you'll see it. And look, I already messed it up by like doing it one more time. So once again, I cleaned my brush and dried it. And I'm just lifting. Once you realize you have these ways of controlling things with watercolor, you really do have control with watercolor, and you realize it's not so bad. Now, blue, space, space, pink. So I have blue, space, space, and this one's pink. So do you notice how I keep saying the pattern every time I go to start it? I say it out loud. Those are the things. It's just like double checking yourself. You know when they say like measure twice, cut once, or measure 3 times, cut once? It's like same thing. You don't want to put your paint in the wrong spot, so double check yourself before you get there. This is cute. So let's say you're tired of painting. You're like, I'm done for the day. Adorable. Pick a color, paint this, do some black outlining, you're good to go. But we're not done. No. Now you can decide if you want to dry it now or you want to chance some bleeding. So I'm cleaning out my brush for sure. If you'll notice here, it wasn't dry, so I got some of my green into my blue. I like it. It's not making me mad, so I'm going to go for it. But your safest way right now is to give everything a good dry and then move forward. I'm going to turn this how we started. We'll look at this one more time. Every time we find a fat blue row, we're going to do an equally fat light green row, okay? So here we go. Dipping my brush into my water. I'm going to refresh my puddle, make sure it's the color that you like. And you don't want too much water. You don't want to accidentally go over that blue. Okay, so you'll have more control with less water, but you also don't want it drying while you work. So it's kind of that battle between the two. And that's really always the case with watercolors. I like this color. It's just kind of different. And I'll keep it going. I just refreshed my puddle. I found another blue row. Keep going. I don't know if you can hear it in my voice today, but I'm tired. In the holiday season, we're not going to be done for a while here. Okay, what's your favorite Christmas song? And why? I just like you reading your comments. It's like we're just hanging out. That makes me think, what's mine? Oh, you know what? Okay, I don't know if I could tell you it here. Maybe I can write it in the comments, but there's a song that I keep finding on my playlist, and I played it when I had my shop the last few years at my store. It was the first song on my playlist, and so it's like very nostalgic to me. Every time I hear it now, I just remember like twinkle lights at the shop and shoppers at nighttime coming in with coats from the snow, and it's really fun what music can do. 1 second here. Okay. Now I'm going to say let's give everything a solid dry, and then we'll get into our red line, okay? Let's do it. Just for fun, I looked it up for you. So the song I was talking about is called Christmas Calling, and behind it, it says Jolly Jones, and it's by Nora Jones. And yeah. So what's yours? Okay, let's keep going. We're going to take this exact same thing. And now, if you want to, you can take your pencil And we would be taking the exact same thing. Let's see, we started with blue, so we'd go this way. And we would be drawing it on top. Oh, we didn't do the red yet. Guys, why didn't someone tell me? Now, okay, we want less water than before. That's what I want you to know. We want control. So I have the tip of my brush really nicely filled from my puddle, and that's it. And this is on the, let's see, right before our line of pink every time. So make sure you find where you were at, okay, and at the top of it. And it can overlap slightly, but this is going to be a very thin line, so very light on the tip of your brush. If you're not getting the effect that you want with your brush, stop and think why. If you don't have enough control, you might have too much water. And if it is not flowing nicely, you probably need just a little bit more water. So inch it along, just like small movements to get what you want. Love it. Same thing, I'm finding the top of my pink. And just really light on the tip of your brush. I remember when I first started, thin lines were like the death of me. They were terrible. It just comes with practice. I think people can say all the right words, but if you don't spend the time, you know, that's kind of all the difference. Okay, this is adorable. It looks like pajama pants, doesn't it? And we could leave it here if we wanted to. But we don't want to because we're doing plaid today. Now we do need this red to dry. Honestly, yours might already be dry because we used such little water. But now we're going to take this how I did a moment ago and flip it. So it starts with our blue line on top, okay? And from there, why am I doing it that way? I don't think we need to do that. Let's turn it this way because we're going to have our lines go this way. If you want to for a moment, if you have any kind of paper near you that has a square edge and you know it's a good square edge to it, if you line it up with one of your vertical lines, you'll get a perfect horizontal with your vertical, right? So that your squares will line up nicely. So I'm going to do that. It doesn't really matter where you start it. We just need one to begin. And then you can do this all along the way if you want. I'm just making sure I'm lining it up with one of my lines in my pattern, not the side of the stocking. I don't think I want to use this the whole time. I just needed a good start. We'll see though. You know me, I'll change my mind. Okay, and then from here, I'm going to do my pattern. So if I do it this way, I'm probably gonna have to do it little by little because I can't really guess where down here. Okay, I'm refreshing my blue, but remember, we don't want our water to be out of control. And we don't want to be back and forth on top of this paint because we don't want to pull it up. We want to just sort of gently work on top of it and move on. So right here is where I'm just choosing to begin my pattern, which starts with that blue, and we know the width. So with our brush, we're going to try to imagine the width, okay? Lean into your brush. See how I'm trying to match it, and I'm going to go across. Now I might go over it one more time just because I want it to be a little darker, and now I stop. If I'm over here and I'm probably going to lift up the paint underneath of it or just make it look a little messier. Okay. So now this, I just feel like somebody's going to teach you plaid better than me. So let's just all agree on that and we'll move on, okay? If this is the width of it, let's put our pattern here for a second. That's how fat it was, okay? Because it's double our blue. And we'll come down here. And that's how we did it before. So that means we've got this one. How did we do it? We go like this, and we go like this. How did we do it? Did I already forget? Give me 1 second. Oh dear. The one with the pink was just as fat as the one we're splitting. Okay, so we're coming here, that's split. This one's just as fat. So that's gonna give us a good start right here. We know it goes blue, it goes green, we have a space, And then we have pink. I might be messing it up, but if you can figure it out and I can't right now, like, that's okay. I'm going to leave my space for the green. I'm going to leave the space underneath of this hatch for the white. Okay, and then right here, I'm going to just do a line of pink. I'm just not worrying about it, you know. If I'm off, I'm off. Here's my pink. You can see it's starting to pull right here. So I say I don't know where you're at with yours. I think we're safer to do a quick dry of everything. I just think if your red isn't as dry, it's going to pull it. So I'm going to stop for 1 second. I think what I'm trying to do is do this the lazy way and teach it to you at the same time. Ay, ay, ay. Okay, so we're going to have space for the green, for the white. We've got our pink, and then we're ready for a blue again. Because I just dried it, I can do the blue. So I'm going to do that. You can dry it in between every single one of these. I mean, no one's the boss of you, right? But I think this will help us for a moment. So I'm going to do it. And then you'll see the pattern start to be established again. That red's going to bleed a little. And we're going to let it. But don't keep going over it, okay? Because you'll pull it into everything else. But the thing about watercolor is, like, if that happens, you might love it. So we're not going to be too worried. So now I have space again. Let's look at it. For the green to go under, okay? Then I had equal space again. So green, white. So right here, I'm going to do pink. If you're still here, thanks for sticking with me. And now I'm looking for that even pressure again, because that really helps us get this nice solid line without going over it 37 times. So did it, done. I'm going to draw my hatch marks on the side again, because those I'm finding helpful. Underneath of my pink, I'm going to have blue. So I'm going to do this width again. And within it, we'll have blue and then green. So I'm going to do my green, because for a minute, we needed to be not working next to something that's wet. So find your green. Make sure that puddle is the way you want it to look. And I'm going to go right here. So we're just looking at what the pattern is and trying to replicate it without having to draw it. If you want to draw it, go for it. I just think I've said it in a complicated way, so good luck to you. I know this is dry because I took the dryer here. So I'm going to get that green one going. And then we'll really start to see plaid coming in. One thing about plaid to me is to have a skinny line somewhere. I think that really locks it in. And it's really cool. This is dry enough, I think. I can tell because the light is not reflecting on it anywhere. So I'm willing to chance it. If you don't want to chance it, dry it. Okay, I just think it's, you guys can see, look, we actually are going somewhere. Look, we're getting somewhere. Okay, I've got my green. I'm going to use hatch marks again over here, but I'm going to move them to this side since this is going to pop out and kind of give me trouble, I think. So that was the bottom of my green, and I'll do about this width again. So I'll have a space for white, and right here, I'll do pink. And then I'm going to start from this side this time, so it might throw me off a little. I'm going to try to keep a nice straight line, and if it's not perfectly straight, I'll try to clean it up and then quickly move on. Trying not to disturb what's under it too much. This is turning out adorable. I love it. Oh, look at those color bleeds, and I am not mad about that. That is beautiful. So it's like we get plaid plus some watercolor bleeds, and it didn't disturb our pattern too much. I'm a fan of that. Okay, so here's our pink. I'm going to draw this again because I need it. Got the bottom of my pink, and I'm going to do, yep, so the same width again. I can divide it up. This underneath of my pink is going to be blue, so I know this is green. The math sometimes, though, am I right? Now, one way I'm going to get this somewhat accurate is by looking above it and trying to make the white space here turn into a line. Just use whatever you can. Quickly try to let go because we are pulling paint from the red. Love it. I'm gonna do this little fat line again here. And we've got green, so we've got a space, and this is our pink. Refresh your pink paint. We do want it to be somewhat like the same color all along the way. All right, I think like this. Lean into that brush. Try for that width. Cute. Like seriously, so cute. But every time I have to look at it again and remind myself of the pattern. It's like I have straight up ADHD about it. Green, white, pink. This one will be blue. So underneath of it will be, it goes pink, it goes blue, it goes green. And then this is going to be white underneath of it. So it gets tricky here because you're really going to have to follow the line that you just put on. That is your guide. So that's blue. This is green. Refresh your puddle. Every time I do water adjustments on this one, I am doing very small adjustments, tip of my brush into my water. And I am definitely replenishing this a lot so that I can do, and I have enough to get a nice wide brush stroke in here. Oh, I want to go over it one more time because I noticed up here it's kind of a lot darker. Love it. I'm obsessed with it. Now I know we go green, space, pink, so I'm going to do that. I'm just going to leave that space above there. Took me a long time to figure out we could go green, space, pink, green, space, pink, huh? And then I'm going to come up here and I want to fill in what's left on the top just to match it. If you wanted stripes on the top though, that would stand out kind of cool to have that be your separate space. Now I go blue, pink is right above it, then space, then green. So I'll stick my guide right up here. I think I'll just split it into 4 really. 1, 2, I don't know if it's going to do it. We'll see. And I know it's dry because this one I haven't worked on in quite a while. So I'm going to grab my pink and go right above it. Beautiful. Cleaning my brush, refreshing my green because it keeps I keep using it all. Space above the pink. Come in with your green. It's fun, isn't it? Okay, now I'm ready for blue above it. So I either need to wait a moment and let this dry some. I'm gonna have what, blue above that and then white, so I don't need to do anything above it. I think I'll go ahead and do my blue a little early, knowing that my colors may bleed, and that's fine with me. I'm refreshing my puddle, and I don't want it to be too dark. And now I think the safe thing is let's dry everything, and then we'll, actually, if you think this is dry, we could do our blue first and then dry it and do red. Let's do that. So it's underneath of pink every time. Cute, cute, cute. This is making me realize I don't really wear plaid, but maybe if it was in these baby colors, I would. Isn't it baby colors? Doesn't it look like it? Okay, I went over this line on accident and I don't like it. So I cleaned my brush quickly and dried it. And I'm going to try to lift up what I can and then I'll move on. See, it's a little cleaner. I'm going to add my blue because I didn't get it filled in. And then I stop. Sometimes the more you mess with it, the more you'll draw attention to it. So I'm letting that be. We're almost done. So now you might start thinking about which of the colors you want your bell to be. This makes me think if you knew someone who was going to have baby, be a little cutie little baby stocking, like a card or something. Okay, I got one more bit of pink, so I have one more row of blue. And I just kind of closed it off. So I'm going to give the entire thing a dry and we'll get back with our red. Okay, well, I thought it would never happen, but what just happened was I recorded all of this while talking to you about it and then realized it didn't record my last bit. So I think that what we got through was our fat lines here, okay? And after that, we want everything fully dry, and we just go back to our red. In finding our red, we found that they were on the top of the pink line. So the wide pink line is do the skinny red line right on top again. You can use your left to right as a guide for your top to bottom because it's that repeated pattern but on the side. And thankfully we didn't lose too much, but at that point I did go through and erase. I don't know if we did that on the other video. I don't know if you saw that or not, but I erased everything on the edges, all my little guides, and made sure everything was fully dry. And then I just chose to outline the outside of this. And I chose blue for the bell because I liked how this looks like denim. I don't know, I just leaned into that a little bit. And I also liked how that would give me a cool color against a warm color for my bell, which I thought might be cute, though this is also cute. And I chose not to get in and add any ink into the inside of this, but to just sort of let that pattern shine. But I love to see your artwork, and if you can share it on my Facebook page, Audrey Shantz Art, I love, because you can share photos there, so it's really fun to see your work. And thanks for hanging out with me today, and I will see you tomorrow.